Minjae Kim walked into Riverside High School, her footsteps echoing through the empty hallway. The walls were lined with faded posters and student artwork, but her mind was focused on one thing: her son Juwoo's struggling academic performance. At 35, Minjae was a single mother who worked as a local computer repair technician. She was practical, direct, and knew her son was far more intelligent than his recent report card suggested. Juwoo, a 12-year-old sixth grader, had always been different. While other kids played video games or watched cartoons, he would spend hours reading advanced science books and solving complex puzzles. Mr. Park, the homeroom teacher, sat across from her with a stack of papers and a tired expression. His glasses were slightly crooked, and his shirt looked like it hadn't been ironed in weeks. "Mrs. Kim," he began, "Juwoo is an average student. His test scores are consistently below the school's standard. We believe he might need additional support." Minjae's eyes narrowed. She pulled out a folder from her bag, a collection of Juwoo's home projects, mathematics workbooks filled with solutions far beyond his grade level, and detailed drawings of complex mechanical systems. "Average?" she questioned, spreading the documents across the desk. "Look at these. My son designed a working solar-powered water filtration model last summer. He explained quantum entanglement to me during breakfast last week. How can you call him average?" Mr. Park shuffled uncomfortably. The documents were impressive, showing a level of understanding that contradicted the school's assessment. Juwoo's grades showed C's and D's, but these projects screamed of exceptional intelligence. "The standardized testing doesn't capture his true potential," Minjae continued. Her voice was calm but carried an undercurrent of steel. "I want an investigation. I want to understand why my son is being labeled as an underperforming student." The school's administration building was a gray, uninspiring structure that seemed to reflect the bureaucratic nature of the educational system. Minjae knew navigating this system would be challenging, but she was determined. Juwoo sat in the school library that afternoon, reading a book about theoretical physics. He was lean and quiet, with sharp eyes that seemed to absorb information faster than most adults could comprehend. He noticed his mother's determined walk before she even entered the room. "Are you going to talk to them again?" Juwoo asked, not looking up from his book. Minjae smiled. "Yes, someone needs to understand how brilliant you are." The next week, Minjae filed an official complaint. She requested a comprehensive evaluation of Juwoo's learning capabilities, challenging the school's standard assessment methods. She argued that their testing failed to recognize different forms of intelligence and learning styles. The local education board was not prepared for Minjae's methodical approach. She gathered evidence, consulted educational psychologists, and built a case that highlighted the limitations of standardized testing. What started as a simple dispute about grades was slowly transforming into something more significant. Juwoo watched silently, his young mind already calculating potential outcomes and strategies. Little did they know, this local school dispute would soon become something far beyond a typical parent-teacher disagreement. The ripples of Minjae's determination were about to spread far wider than the walls of Riverside High School. The first hearing was scheduled. Minjae prepared her documents, her evidence meticulously organized. Juwoo packed his favorite notebook, filled with equations and diagrams that would make most university professors pause. Something was brewing. A challenge to the system. A mother's belief in her son's potential was about to challenge everything everyone thought they knew about education, intelligence, and human capability. The stage was set. The first act of an unexpected journey was about to begin. The parent-teacher conference room felt unusually tense. Minjae sat next to Juwoo, her hand resting protectively on his shoulder. Mr. Park stood at the front, preparing to discuss Juwoo's academic performance. "Your son continues to struggle," Mr. Park began, pulling out a series of test papers marked with low grades. "His mathematics and science scores are particularly concerning." Juwoo remained silent, his eyes fixed on a complex mathematical equation scribbled on a nearby whiteboard. Something about the equation seemed to draw his attention, almost like a magnet pulling his concentration. Without warning, Ju-woo stood up. His movement was slow but purposeful. He walked to the whiteboard and picked up a marker. The room fell silent as his hand began moving rapidly across the surface. In less than 3 minutes, Ju-woo transformed the original equation. He wasn't just solving it. He was completely reimagining its structure. Complex mathematical symbols danced across the board, creating a solution that seemed to defy standard computational methods. Mr. Park's mouth dropped open. The other teachers in the room stared in complete disbelief. How? How did you do that? Mr. Park stammered. Ju-woo turned, his expression calm and matter-of-fact. The original equation assumes linear progression, but quantum mechanics suggests multiple potential pathways. I simply mapped alternative computational routes. Minja watched, a small smile forming at the corners of her mouth. This was the Sun she knew, brilliant, unconventional, and far beyond typical educational standards. A strange sound interrupted the moment. A low, subtle buzzing seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere simultaneously. The lights flickered momentarily, and for a split second, something that looked like a translucent holographic image appeared behind Ju-woo. Most in the room missed it, but Minja caught a glimpse, a shadowy technological outline that seemed to shimmer and then vanish. The school administrators exchanged confused glances. Ju-woo returned to his seat, completely unaware of the subtle technological anomaly that had just occurred. "We need to conduct additional tests," one administrator whispered to another. "This is unusual." Minji knew this was more than just a typical school meeting. Her son's demonstration had changed everything. The equation Ju-woo solved was so complex that most university-level mathematicians would struggle to understand its intricacies. Later that evening at home, Ju-woo was surprisingly quiet. He sat near the window, watching the street outside, his mind seemingly processing the day's events. "Are you okay?" Minjae asked, placing a cup of hot chocolate beside him. Ju-woo nodded. "The equation was interesting," he said simply, "but something felt different today." Minji noticed a strange mark on Ju-woo's wrist, a faint, circular pattern that looked almost like a technological circuit. When she tried to take a closer look, it seemed to fade away. What nobody realized was that Ju-woo's demonstration was more than an academic breakthrough. It was a signal, a beacon that would soon attract attention from far beyond their small town's educational system. Something was awakening. Something extraordinary was beginning to unfold. The hidden potential within Ju-woo was not just about intelligence. It was about something much larger, much more complex than anyone could currently understand. The first domino had fallen, and the path ahead would be anything but ordinary. As night fell, a distant signal pulsed. Somewhere, something was listening. Something was watching. And Ju-woo's unexpected demonstration had just become their point of interest. The cosmic classroom was about to begin its most unusual lesson. The transportation was unlike anything Ju-woo had ever experienced. No airports, no spacecraft visible, just a sudden shift in reality. One moment he stood in his bedroom. The next he was in a vast circular chamber that seemed to breathe with technological energy. Alien representatives surrounded him. They weren't the tentacled monsters from movies, but elegant beings with crystalline skin and eyes that seemed to calculate multiple dimensions simultaneously. Ju-woo noticed they watched him with a mix of curiosity and something approaching respect. A central platform rose, displaying holographic challenges. Each test was more complex than the last, not just mathematical equations, but intricate problem-solving scenarios that required understanding of physics, biology, computational theory, and something beyond human comprehension. The first challenge involved restructuring the collapsing quantum system. Most advanced civilizations would require massive supercomputers. Ju-woo used a simple notebook and began sketching alternative molecular pathways. The alien judges exchanged glances. A young human child was solving problems that would challenge their most advanced scientific minds. Ju-woo's approach wasn't about finding the perfect solution. It was about finding creative pathways that no one had considered before. He didn't just solve problems, he reimagined them entirely. In one test, he was asked to stabilize an unstable energy matrix. Instead of using conventional methods, he introduced a completely unexpected variable, biological adaptation principles from Earth's ecosystem. Fascinating, one judge murmured. He doesn't think like a technological system. He thinks like a living, adaptable organism. Each challenge seemed designed to break him. Complex computational scenarios, interdimensional logic problems, genetic restructuring simulations, challenges that would crush most intelligent species. But Zhu remained calm. His mind worked differently. Where others saw barriers, he saw opportunities. Where others saw impossible equations, he saw potential pathways. The final challenge was the most complex, a multidimensional problem that required understanding not just scientific principles, but the very nature of consciousness and existence. Zhu closed his eyes. He didn't calculate. He understood. His solution wasn't just an answer. It was a complete reimagining of the problem itself. The alien judges watched in stunned silence as he demonstrated a level of intelligence that transcended their own sophisticated understanding. Humanity's potential is not in its current technological capability, Zhu explained, but in its ability to continuously adapt and reimagine existing knowledge. The chamber fell silent. Something extraordinary was happening. A 12-year-old human was teaching advanced civilizations about the true nature of intelligence. Minjie, who had been transported to an observation chamber, watched her son with a mixture of pride and disbelief. The woman who had sued a school for underestimating her son was now watching him challenge entire civilizations. As the final test concluded, the alien judges looked genuinely impressed. Zhu hadn't just passed their tests. He had redefined what those tests meant. Remarkable, one judge said. Truly remarkable. The cosmic challenge was more than an examination. It was a revelation. Humanity, through this young boy, had just announced its potential to the universe. And this was just the beginning. The chamber hummed with potential. Zhu stood at its center, not as a victor, but as a representative of something far greater, human potential, creativity, and an unbreakable spirit of discovery. The universe was listening, and humanity had just spoken its first remarkable sentence. The results of the cosmic challenge spread across multiple galactic communication networks faster than light itself. Zhu's performance wasn't just impressive. It was revolutionary. Alien research teams began analyzing every moment of his problem-solving process. They discovered something unprecedented. Zhu didn't just solve problems, he reimagined entire systems of understanding. During the final assessment, Zhu demonstrated a unique ability that shocked even the most advanced civilizations. When presented with a complex interdimensional problem, he didn't approach it mathematically. Instead, he used something the alien judges had never seen before: pure human creativity. Calculation is not understanding. Zhu explained to the stunned panel of alien judges. Understanding is about seeing connections others cannot imagine. His solution involved integrating biological adaptation principles with quantum mechanics, a combination that seemed impossible to other advanced species. He showed how Earth's evolutionary processes could provide solutions to problems that had stumped technological civilizations for millennia. Minjie watched from a separate observation chamber, her heart racing. The same son who had struggled in a typical classroom was now teaching advanced civilizations about the nature of intelligence and problem-solving. The alien judges began reviewing the data. Their initial assessment was simple. Humanity was not just another developing species. They were potential equals. One senior judge turned to another. His approach suggests something remarkable about human potential. They don't just solve problems. They'd recreate the entire framework of understanding. As the final results were compiled, something unexpected happened. The communication networks across multiple star systems began featuring Zhu's analysis. His solution wasn't just an answer. It was a new way of thinking. Research centers across different galaxies started studying the young human's methodology. Universities, scientific institutions, and technological centers wanted to understand how a 12-year-old could provide insights that their most advanced computational systems could not. Minja received a holographic communication. The same shimmering technology that had first invited Jiwoo now presented a comprehensive report. Her son had not just passed the challenge. He had fundamentally changed how intelligent species might approach problem-solving. Your son has demonstrated a unique cognitive approach, the holographic message explained. Humanity's potential is significantly higher than previous galactic assessments. Back on Earth, news of Jiwoo's achievement began spreading. The small lawsuit about school grades had transformed into humanity's first major cosmic intellectual breakthrough. Universities wanted to study him. Scientific institutions requested interviews. But Jiwoo remained unchanged, a quiet, curious boy who saw the world differently. Intelligence is not about knowing everything, he told his mother. It's about being willing to learn and see things from new perspectives. The cosmic challenge had become more than a test. It was a statement about human potential, creativity, and the unlimited capacity of the human mind. As the final reports were compiled, one thing became clear. Jiwoo was not just a remarkable individual. He was a representative of something much larger. Humanity's extraordinary potential to understand, adapt, and reimagine the universe. The small dispute about school grades had led to something extraordinary. A mother's belief in her son had opened a door to the stars, and humanity's first cosmic lesson was complete. The universe watched, and for the first time, it looked at Earth with genuine respect and curiosity.